Hi, I'm Pete Matthews, Editor-in-Chief of Firehouse, and thank you for joining us on today's Firehouse web chat. It's been about 2 years since we first learned about MSA Safety's LUNAR device at a fire service conference. LUNAR was born and created through years of research and development done by MSA and their conversations with firefighters and fire departments to help fire departments operate more safely and efficiently on the fire ground. Almost 20 years ago, the Fire Worcester Cold Storage Warehouse was really one of the first examples where being able to track firefighters missing in a building came to the forefront, and here it is 21 years later, and this technology is out, and we're excited to talk about it today. So today, I'm happy to have Jasmine Spencer and Matt Quigley from MSA Safety join us. Jasmine and Matt are both part of MSA's development and rollout team for the Connected Firefighter platform, which is driven by LUNAR. Both have extensive backgrounds in product engineering and long histories with MSA. Jasmine and Matt are excited to introduce LUNAR to the firefighters that MSA is dedicated to protecting. Before we begin today's web chat, we'd like to fire off a quick video here to learn a little bit more about the LUNAR program.
What is safety? Tough question. Is safety keeping places free from danger? Or is safety protecting the men and women who go into dangerous places? At MSA, safety is what we do. All we do. In 2014, MSA introduced a revolutionary new breathing apparatus for firefighters, followed by the first integrated TIC and Bluetooth technology. Today, the G1 SCBA is just one piece in an entire ecosystem of products engineered to help firefighters see and assess a situation like never before, all while staying connected, safe, and accounted for, even in the most dangerous, smoke-filled environments. We call it the Connected Firefighter Platform. LUNAR is the heartbeat. A compact wireless device that sharpens situational awareness and boosts accountability.
Dispatch, this is engine 14, and we're first on scene.
From the moment the first firefighter jumps off the rig, FireGrid starts working, keeping track of each firefighter in real time. An incident command in the loop.
We're going in.
Personal high-res thermal imaging with edge detection identifies hot spots and ventilation points. Makes it easier to navigate a building with zero visibility. Meanwhile, FireGrid is feeding incident and firefighter data to on-scene officers and remote personnel.
Mayday, 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 man down.
The motion alarm sounds an alert if it doesn't detect the firefighter's motion for 30 seconds, whether they're on air or not. Firefighter to firefighter ranging combines direction and distance information with thermal imaging to help find a downed crew member. And thanks to the FireGrid, Incident Command back at the station knows exactly what's going on. And that everyone's okay.
Okay, we're out of here.
So yeah, what is safety? MSA.
Well, great video. So Jasmine, Matt, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And like I said earlier, it was 2 years ago that we learned about it. It's a lot longer that you've been working on LUNAR. So thank you for joining. And Jasmine, we'll start with you. Can you tell us about the Connected Firefighter program so our viewers can learn more about it? What's in it, and how does the Connected Firefighter platform work?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us today. We're so excited to talk to you. So let's talk about the Connected Firefighter platform. So it's an ecosystem of products that work together to help keep the entire crew connected, communicating, and confident in their decision-making. The platform consists of the G1, which we launched in 2014, the Hub, LUNAR, FireGrid, and our Alter gas detectors. So together they enable enhanced vision, unmatched situational awareness, and accountability for everyone on scene, regardless if they're on air or not. So this platform truly creates a network of safety to help keep your entire crew safe, connected, and accounted for even in the most dangerous situations.
Awesome, Jasmine. Thank you so much. And again, it's great to hear that everybody on the fire grant has accountability. That's something that's critical nowadays with just so many folks in so many different positions. The way responses are going, you might have multiple departments that are coming together. So to be able to track everyone in one particular spot's great. So the next question I have for you, and Jasmine, we'll go back to you again. You said LUNAR is bringing all sorts of new safety features and other capabilities to the fire service. Can you give us some insight on those, please?
Oh, I'd love to. There's so many, but I'm going to focus on, let's say, 4 today. So let's start with the LUNAR to LUNAR network. It is a self-forming or ad hoc network that's completely independent of other forms of connectivity, such as cellular connectivity. So it's completely independent of whether you have cellular connection or not. So being self-forming or ad hoc means your team is always communicating, always connected, even in heavy infrastructure. The second thing, in addition to the LUNAR to LUNAR network, is LTE-M. This is a direct cloud connection that ties in local IC or local incident command and someone completely off scene, remotely monitoring one or even multiple live scenes. So what's nice about this direct connection is there's no additional equipment or infrastructure you need to set up. Your team can really jump off the truck and just go. They're instantly connected. So through LTE-M, local IC is provided all the information they need, such as air management data, incident information, and they should be more confident in their decision making. 2 more things I want to share with you. We see the trend in personal thermal imaging becoming the norm. So in addition to LUNAR being a small format thermal imager, with traditional thermal palettes, it also has an exclusive palette called edge detection, which is only on our LUNAR. And then the last thing, LUNAR has FAST, which is an acronym for Firefighting Assisting Search Technology. This enables something we call collaborative search in a Mayday situation. So you're able to lock onto a device that's an alarm, whether you're internal or external to a structure. And what this really means is when you're searching from outside the structure, imagine doing a 360 of the structure. And based on the information that you're being provided, you could eliminate sides of the structure, floors, or even rooms that don't need to be searched, really aiding and reducing that time for a successful save. So those are 4 key points, but there's so many I could share with you today.
Well, that's great. Thank you. A wonderful overview. And so, Matt, we're gonna jump to you now for a little bit more, kind of focusing on some areas. So, first question for you, Matt, is what was the decision to make LUNAR a standalone device?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just start with, at the start of the LUNAR program, one of the main aspects that we wanted to focus on was this concept of accountability for every firefighter on scene. So previously, a lot of our technology had focused on our telemetry network with a base station, and later our MSA hub, which provided air management and alarm status management, but only for firefighters that were wearing the G1 SCBA. So that really limited our ability and visibility for incident commanders to just the firefighters that were wearing respiratory protection. So a concept of LUNAR was to expand this to not only the other firefighters that were on an active fire scene, but also look to the broad range of jobs that a firefighter is going to be asked to respond to and try to offer these safety tools in as many jobs as possible and not just confine them to when they're wearing respiratory protection. So the concept of making LUNAR a standalone device was really to enable this technology to be used in the most broad range of jobs, as well as to offer these safety tools for firefighters not wearing the breathing apparatus. That being said, I will say that we do view our G1 breathing apparatus as a platform. So LUNAR is really designed to be an extension of that product. It is able to connect to the G1 via Bluetooth and do a lot of interesting compatibility features, such as alarm sharing. We're able to also push a lot of the alarms or alerts from the LUNAR device to the heads-up display within the G1 SCBA. So I think just in general, what we wanted to do was have this product be an extension of our breathing apparatus, but also to focus on the strategy of offering these tools to any firefighter that could be called upon to do their active jobs.
Okay, great, Matt. And so you mentioned Bluetooth. That's how it connects to the G1? Is that correct?
That is correct. It's over a Bluetooth connection.
Okay, great. And so, again, Matt, earlier Jasmine mentioned the edge detection as one of the features for LUNAR. So can you tell us about that, and through the R&D, how edge protection came to be one of the key points of the system?
Absolutely. So I would say within regards to our R&D portfolio, there's a couple of major technologies that are primary focuses for not just our current landscape today, but also to continue to keep expanding upon in the future. And thermal imaging is certainly a major component of that. In 2017, we launched the iTick control module, which really took personal thermal imaging to the next level by incorporating this directly into the control module on the SCBA. So when we looked at LUNAR as a tool that is to be used by any firefighter on scene, we really wanted to democratize this type of a feature to as many firefighters that are on scene. So we really want to take the ITIC control module to the next level with LUNAR, with a much larger display and a much more immersive experience when you're using that thermal imaging capability for identifying hotspots, enabling better navigation inside, as well as being able just to have navigation for better visibility. Because of the increased capabilities of LUNAR, we're able to do a lot more with our thermal imaging capabilities beyond just showing the base thermal image. And one of the examples of that is edge detection, which is an enhancement of the existing thermal image. But what that enables us to do is to highlight areas of interest within the frame by identifying discrepancies between large gradients of temperature between different objects. So in practice, what you'll see is that this really enables really more enhanced navigation by able to highlight things such as doors and stairwells, or really in a search event, really able to highlight a downed firefighter that could be lying on the floor, or areas of heat sources that need to be paid attention to. So it's really not distorting the thermal image, it's really just calling attention to areas that need to be focused on. And that's just one of the areas that we're focusing on, really helping to enhance that capability for not just our thermal imaging capabilities of LUNAR today, but then also a foundational stepping stone for where we want to take thermal imaging for our future as well.
Okay, great. And again, I guess that's, that's part of situational awareness on the fire ground, right? That's just one more thing that you can add in, that the members, the incident commanders, all those folks that are on the fire ground have access to that data and can see what's going on, correct?
Absolutely, and that's really where we wanted to focus from a design philosophy with LUNAR. We certainly by no means want to be able to change the standard operating procedure of firefighters. These are tactics and techniques that have been perfected over hundreds of years. So what we really wanted to do was provide a tool that can provide better decision-making capabilities and more access to information to be able to act more efficiently or just have more insight into what is actually going on to the scene. So LUNAR is truly meant to augment the modern firefighter and provide more access to information faster.
Okay, great. And just a reminder to the folks viewing today, if you do have any questions for Matt and Jasmine, go ahead and send them in. We'll get to those here in just a few minutes. We want to make sure we get your questions answered today as well. But before we get to the attendee questions, Jasmine, before you mentioned the fast technology, can you give us some more details on that aspect of LUNAR, please?
Yes, of course. So FAST, I mentioned that it's an acronym for Firefighting Assisting Search Technology. So this is MSA's groundbreaking technology. It's used during search and rescue. So it really starts with the instant notification that an incident has occurred. This notification is independent of any other means of communication, such as radio communication, IC stating an issue has occurred, or even cell reception being present, since it's on our LUNAR to LUNAR network. So after that notification that an incident has occurred, you're presented with key information. So who is down, why they are in alarm, which can aid you in deciding what resources may be needed. Finally, once you lock onto the device and alarm, you are given additional tools to act on the information previously provided. You get a few pieces of information, the first of which is a distance component. So that can be one of four numbers. So within 30 feet, within 60 feet, within 90 feet, or over 90 feet. And then you're given directional feedback as well. So you're given the information if you're headed in the right direction. And that's a percentage. And the last thing, which is so key, is that you don't lose your thermal information. You still have that available to you during the search. So in a nutshell, FAST is we are providing the user instant notification that an incident has happened, concise information, and that tactical tool to confidently act in those situations that are super critical.
Great. Thanks, Jasmine.
Yes.
And Matt, so we'll go back to you. FireGrid, how does that take part in the system, and then what does that mean for firefighters?
Absolutely. So a major component of LUNAR was to basically have a seamless experience with the software experience that would be basically absorbed by the incident commander that's on scene, but also a lot of other stakeholders across the entire fire department. So when we were looking at LUNAR and a lot of our other developments that we have, not just within our fire service portfolio, but also our large portable gas detection portfolio that looks at a lot of cloud-related technologies, what we really wanted to focus on was a couple major strategies and tenets of the development. One was the concept of that when the information is basically when a firefighter steps off a truck, it's instantly deployed. So really try to reduce the barrier of infrastructure or the need of certain steps that need to take place just to have access to the information. So we really want to make that ever present, and that as soon as the device is turned on, it's instantly connected to the cellular network and transmitting data back to the cloud services that can be accessed by the fire department's account. Because of that, the information can essentially be accessed from anywhere. So we offer a suite of tools for the incident commander that's actively on scene so that they're able to monitor air pressure. They're able to bi-directionally communicate with the firefighters through an evacuation command that can be issued if they need to pull firefighters outside of the structure due to an incoming incident that may be coming. But then it also enables us to be able to move that information to a remote location. So if you're thinking about how this could be used from a dispatch center that's able to see in aggregate all of the active scenes that the fire department may be involved in across a city that could be actively going on. So that was one of the aspects, was if this information is being collected, make it as easy as possible to have access to it, but then also, reduce the barrier in terms of the location of where you have to be to access that information. The second piece was really this concept around, after this data is collected, how can we use this to benefit the fire department long term and have greater value of the product and the service, after the first day, first year, 5 years with the product, so you're getting more and more out of it as you continue to keep using it. So one thing I will say about from a LUNAR perspective is, as soon as that information is being sent back to the cloud, that information is available for post-scene analytics and after-action reports immediately after the scene is concluded. So that enables leadership within the fire department to be able to look within their reports of an incident, see all of these statistics with regards to breathing pressure, consumption over time, any alarms that may have been present, any active searches that may have been called during that fire scene, and really to get an after-action report of everything that happened on that scene. And that is collected since from the day one that LUNAR is activated, from in perpetuity of owning that device. Additionally, that information can be used just from direct usage to enable better understanding from an inventory management perspective for our inventory management component within the fire grid. So we're able to have a better discrete understanding of how long this product has been in service, what type of events this product has been subjected to, and to have that type of visibility to enable a more comprehensive inventory management view when that product needs to be maintained and ready for service. So when I think about what the fire grid is about, it's really about having more access to information, both local and remotely, but also to get a lot more value out of that data after a fire scene has ended, so you're able to take advantage of a discrete understanding of what actually happened during those events.
Great, Matt. Thank you so much. That's really some great insight there, just to be able to understand that. And it's doing a lot, but it's doing a lot for so many reasons, before, during, and after an incident, which is great to be able to have access to that data. So thank you. We've talked about LUNAR and what's going on in the Connected Firefighter program. And Jasmine, you've been out there talking to folks quite a bit since this has kind of come to the forefront. It's out there now. So what's the feedback from the field? What are you hearing from your fire departments that you've been working with for the last couple of years?
Yeah, so there's definitely been some reoccurring themes. The first of which is how intuitive, user-friendly, and easy it is to use. You kind of pick it up. You notice from looking at it, there's only 2 buttons. That's absolutely by design to make it user-friendly. We know you want to get to the information in the screens you need as quickly as possible. We also hear that it's a tool that can be used daily. So on all your calls, no matter what they are, whether they're structural, vehicle, hazmat, doesn't matter. It's something that can be used on all those calls and even on your worst day. So when we talk about fast, it's something that's there for you even on your worst day. We also hear that it keeps them confident knowing they're connected to their entire crew, from those that also have on LUNARs. Matt mentioned in pulling in IC via FireGrid, and even someone completely off scene remotely is also aware of what's going on scene. And that last reoccurring theme is really about fast, and it's making them sure they're confident that they're moving in the right direction for that successful save. So those are really the reoccurring themes, and they're all positive, and it's really awesome to get this out in the hands of firefighters. That's great.
That's great feedback. And as far as trying to learn more information about LUNAR, where can our viewers today, where can they go to get some more details?
Yeah, absolutely. Please visit us at msafire.com/LUNAR for more information about LUNAR and even about the entire Connected Firefighter platform. So once again, that's msafire.com/LUNAR.
Great. Well, thank you. And again, for the folks that are viewing today, let's go to your questions. If you have any questions, can you please send them in, and we'll start going through those here in just a moment. Jasmine, do you have access right now to a LUNAR, so we can just take a quick look on your screen with what's available? I'm sorry.
Sure, of course I do. Let me switch over my camera, and I would be happy to show you what LUNAR looks like. All right, I'm switching over my camera right now. You should see 2 LUNARs on your screen. All right, you should now see my hands coming into view on the LUNAR. So yes, I have 2 LUNARs here right now. My hand is on the left side of one. My right hand is on the other side of the one on the right-hand side. So really quickly, Matt talked about how we wanted to have a larger screen. This is a 3.5-inch screen on diagonal. Just going over really quickly what you see on the screen. This green check means you're in awesome working order. You are in the LUNAR to LUNAR network, meaning you can be searched for and search. Next, we have personalization. So this can be your name. It could be riding position, something that is important to your team, but that personalization is something you can configure. Then up the upper top, we have 2 other icons, one of which is for LTE connectivity, and the second is for Bluetooth pairing. So Matt mentioned you can pair this with external devices. Lastly is your LUNAR battery. On the screen right now, you see that it says 2 firefighter alarms. That's because there's 2 devices in alarm. We will get to that rather shortly, but I want to show you some screens. So LUNAR can have 3 screens, 2 of which can be tick palettes if you choose, and third would be your G1 status screen if you were paired with a G1. So right now, let me change this for us. You're probably familiar with a red hot. So on the left-hand side, I have on red hot. Here, my hands are super chilly, but you can see where my thumb meets my pointer finger. It's highlighted in a bright green highlight. That's edge detection. So just for comparison, we have our red hot palette. My fingers are super chilly. Over here on the right side, we have edge detection outlining my hand in that bright green highlight. So I mentioned we only have 2 buttons by design. That's what you see here. The left-hand side is for scrolling. The right-hand side is for enter. So what I want you to pay close attention to right now are these red banners up top. I'm going to put LUNAR Live 1 into manual alarm. What I want you to watch is this number that says 2 firefighters once I put this device where my hand is in alarm. Notice the countdown on this device. So notice this device is now in manual alarm. See, the icon has changed. Over on our second device right here, we now see that it says 3 firefighters in alarm. That notification came over as soon as I put the LUNAR Live 1 into manual alarm. To go into an active search, I'm going to click Start Search. Notice here we have 3 devices into alarm. 2 of them are outside of this studio right now in alarm. The one we want to focus on is LUNAR Live 1. But before we start searching, I do want to show you these icons here mean it's in manual alarm. Notice the same iconography over here. We see 3 devices in alarm. Notice the number up top as well. So I'm going to scroll down so we can search for LUNAR Live 1, the device that's right here on the left-hand side. And now we're in full-on search mode. So what you'll notice here is we got a few pieces of new information. Right here is the distance component. I mentioned this could be within 30 feet, within 60 feet, within 90 feet, or over 90 feet. And you'll also notice this ring that's illuminated in the middle of the screen. This value here is in conjunction with those rings. So when you're within 30 feet, the innermost ring is lit. The middle ring, you're within 60 feet. The outer ring, you're within 90 feet. And no rings are lit when you're more than 90 feet away. The second piece of information we are now given is a percentage, which is our directional component. Obviously, I'm right next to my device, so it's 100%. We would want to head in this direction. And then our thermal, our temperature reading. We haven't lost our temperature reading. So we still have thermal available to us. In this case, this device is on edge detection. So you haven't lost that ability. So not only do you still have your thermal abilities, you now have gained your distance and directional. So yes, I'm going to exit this search. And we're going to be back in normal mode. I'm going to exit that manual alarm. So yes, thanks for asking to see the LUNARs today. I'm going to switch my camera back over.
Jasmine, that's great. That's really good to see how that works. And I love the overlay with the thermal imaging. You can still see that. So if you're going to go ahead and do your search for a firefighter or another person that's missing, you still have that ability, so you can really focus in one spot. So that's a great feature.
Yes.
Okay, so let's jump into some of the questions. And again, if you do have questions, please send them over. We'll get to them here in just a moment. So the first question I have for you is, what is the XYZ accuracy? And as far as using LTE-M, does that require cell coverage?
Hey, Matt, I'm going to swing those over to you.
Sure. So within the XYZ accuracy, we look at the directional plane that LUNAR can be used to search for the downed firefighter. So if you think about how LUNAR can be used in a sweeping pattern to find the downed firefighter, it's less of a straight plane and more of a spherical sense. So the field of view of that directional antenna is about 45 degrees left to right and about 45 degrees up and down for a cone that can basically extend from the device in terms of where I'm pointing and where I'm receiving that signal. So where we've seen this come into play is when we're doing either external searches where some teams are able to, as Jazz mentioned before, when they're doing their size up, they're able to locate a certain side of the building that the downed firefighter may be in, as well as a floor in terms of, are they above the first floor, or are they on the first floor, to help prioritize the search. Additionally, we haven't gotten into this as well with some of the features, but one of the pieces that LUNAR has on board that we'll be looking to add in the future development is the product has GNSS capabilities as well, so that when firefighters are outside of the structure, that we're able to take advantage of their location and put those firefighters on a map for incident command to see their direct location from their coordinates as well.
Great, Matt, thank you. So next question for you is compatibility with other devices. So we've had a few folks here who are using MSA, they're mutual aid partners or not. Is there the ability for compatibility between MSA, between LUNAR and some of the other devices out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I saw in the chat there were also some similar questions regarding a mutual aid situation as well. And I think one of the things about LUNAR that I come back to that accountability for all strategy design mentality. The concept was really to have this LUNAR alarm network to be compatible with neighboring departments that would show up on scene. So as Jazz had shown in the search network, that there were multiple firefighters in alarm that could have been found. So I will say that while we did design LUNAR to be compatible with the G1, but it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to a G1 to be able to be within that search network. So any LUNAR that is within range of other LUNARs is able to detect their alarm, as well as offer a direct search for that downed firefighter. So if you think about this situation in real time, if you had two neighboring departments that showed up to the same scene, as long as they were utilizing LUNAR devices, regardless of their breathing apparatus that they were using, that they would be able to be within the same search and rescue network if an issue were to occur.
Okay. All right, great, Matt. Thank you. And next question for you too is: will LUNAR need to be paired with a G1 using a key fob?
Yep, absolutely. So one of the things that we wanted to focus on was ease of use. So what we are able to do, because we have the design of the G1 and LUNAR, we're able to put the G1 into active RFID mode, and LUNAR actually has an embedded RFID tag in the chin of the device that's able to proximity pair whenever it's touched to the base of the power module. So in terms of the entire pairing process, it's much, I'd say, more streamlined than what it is for our radio process, where we have to write a tag and initiate the process through multiple different steps. This is much more of a touch it to the G1 and it should initiate the Bluetooth pair immediately.
Great, Matt. Thank you. So as mentioned earlier, and Jed, when you were doing your demo there as well, the distance to the fast, is that directional too? I'm sorry. The distance in the fast, is that directional? Not just north, south, east, west, but also up and down?
Yeah, so Matt kind of alluded to that. What's really awesome is it's just not north, south, east, west. So let's say you're on the first floor of a building and there could be a downed firefighter, maybe a floor above you, maybe in the basement, maybe you're somewhere that has even sub-basements. LUNAR is able to give you that direction and distance component in all of those situations. So if you're pointing up, if you're pointing down, in front of you, behind you, to the right or left, it's able to accommodate all of those situations.
Okay, great. And then let's see. So does the incident commander have the ability to see the thermal image through their command devices?
So LUNAR is unable to broadcast images or that fast that you saw from the demo, but what LUNAR does send over via LTE, Matt alluded to our FireGrid suite of software applications, via FireGrid Monitor, which is our local monitoring app. local IC can see who's on scene, what products are on scene, what teams they're on. They can even assign locations and tasks, but they can also see what incidents are occurring. So who's down, who's searching for them, how long an incident has been going on. So there's tons of great information to help them be confident in their decision making, but no broadcasting.
Okay, great. Thank you. So next question here is, if a cellular network is down, for instance, a major disaster type incident, is LUNAR still connected? And if so, how is that accomplished?
Absolutely. So another aspect of LUNAR that we wanted to accomplish was this idea of redundancy within our connectivity. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a situation where cellular connectivity has been like shut down, or if you're in an area of remote connectivity. This could also be a scenario where firefighters are going into like a tunnel or an area significantly below grade where there's just heavy infrastructure and you just wouldn't be able to get a cell signal even if you had your mobile phone with you. So the LUNAR to LUNAR network and the connection to the cellular network are completely independent of each other. So if Incident Command was monitoring these LUNARs, they end up going below grade and losing cell connectivity. Incident Command would instantly be alerted not only that those firefighters have lost connection, but also their active time that they've lost connection. And then the independent firefighters that are actually going below grade with each other, they're instantly connected with each other at all times as well. So if an incident were to occur, they're immediately alerted via their LUNAR device notification that a firefighter has a motion or manual alarm. They're able to initiate a search. So how we wanted to accomplish that was with connectivity was to not have dependencies built on top of each other, but rather to have them both be two separate tools that are available depending on the situation.
Okay, great. Thank you. So next question for you two is, does this work in buildings with concrete floors? Any building material, do any materials impact the operation? I know, Matt, you kind of just alluded to that a little bit. But what about their operations with the concrete floors? I know that's been a challenge for the last few years.
Absolutely. And I would say that was probably one of the major pieces when we were looking at our search and rescue technology of how that led us to select our certain direction in terms of what we've integrated into the device. So I would say that the majority of our testing has been either within industrial settings, like our current headquarters, which is a building built in the 1980s with heavy infrastructure of rebar reinforced concrete, very large infrastructure in terms of wireless signals. But we've also done a lot of testing in older cement burn buildings, as well as other infrastructure-laden heavy scenarios. So what we found is that the LUNAR range from LUNAR to LUNAR in a line of sight operation is about a half of a mile, and from a conservative estimate. But we've been very pleased with the range as we start to go further and further within infrastructure. And I think through some of the recent trials that we've had as we've started to shipping devices to our sales team to start demoing with departments around the country, that they've been very pleased and happy with the performance of the product in these type of scenarios as well.
Great, thank you. It looks like our last question here is, does the Bluetooth pairing with LUNAR with the LUNAR device interfere with the Bluetooth connection for the radios?
And the answer to that is no. The G1 can maintain two stable connections via Bluetooth to two other devices. So between the Motorola radio and LUNAR, that is a distinct aspect of the design that we have not only looked at enabling from the LUNAR side, but also went back into the G1 source code to really help optimize the Bluetooth connection to be able to maintain two simultaneous connections. So that is something that we've specifically designed around and have tested explicitly to ensure that we're enabling clear voice communications as well as a stable connection to the LUNAR device.
Great, Matt. Thank you so much. Anything else before we wrap up here today, Matt or Jasmine?
No, I think we covered an overview. You guys got some deep dive details, awesome questions. Just a reminder, msafire.com/LUNAR.
Okay, again, thank you so much, Jasmine and Matt, for joining us today for MSA. You've got the website information right there. So thank you all very much. Continue to stay safe on the fire ground and take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.